Reintroducing the Iced Apple Crisp Oat Milk Macchiato from Starbucks. Now with Starbucks Blonde Espresso and Oat Milk, layered with flavors of apple, cinnamon, and brown sugar, and topped with a spiced apple drizzle. Welcome back, fall. Order today with the Starbucks app.
We all have a lot on our plates. Work, kids, relationships. And sometimes it can be hard to just catch a breath. When life is go, 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 it matters where you stay. Hilton's family of brands has team members dedicated to making you feel truly cared for, so you can mentally check out before you even check in. Take the break you deserve and book your next stay on Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm Barry Williams.
And I'm Christopher Knight.
And we are the real Brady Bros. Yes, hence the name of our podcast, The Real Brady Bros, which is funny because, in a sense, we're
not really the real Bradys.
Sometimes we finish each other's sentences, however, which has been quite eye-opening as it was, and actually goes to the point of why this is fun for us, as well as, hopefully, for you all. We take an episode, we're going to break it down and tear it apart, and...
well, this week it's really special, because this week is sort of the, quintessential Brady episode.
I think so. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
The first of the second three-parter the Bradys did. Going to Hawaii. Hawaii bound.
Hawaii bound. Well, why don't you give us some of the stats on this, Chris? We're into 1972 here.
We are. First aired September 22nd, 1972. This opened as the first airing in the fourth season.
Fourth season. So we're all back. We're all fresh back from our hiatus. It's summertime. And
yes, this was the 73rd episode in total that aired. It was directed by Jack Arnold, written by Tam Spiva. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Spiva, thank you, was our story editor, was he not?
Yes, and brought in by Robert Reed.
Did not know this.
Yeah.
Really? When was he brought in? The fourth year? Third year?
I think it was the fourth season, or maybe toward the end of the third. That was that came out of some of the negotiations that Bob Reed was having.
But being that he was a story editor, he's there. We didn't have like writers who hung out in a room and wrote our scripts. They sort of contracted out
exactly.
the writing to independent writers in the Writers Guild, or that were in the industry.
And of course, as you mentioned, director Jack Arnold, who was, I think I can say, please say, one of our favorites by everybody's standards, and also directed many, many of the original Jack Lord Hawaii Five-0 episodes.
Very laid back. The energy was terrific with him. It was non-stress working with Jack Arnold. And I think you see it in this episode, because we are laid-back Bradys in this episode.
Yes.
Right?
Enjoying the life.
This episode also co-starred Don Ho and David Lippy Espenda as Mr. Hanalei, and Patrick
Eddie Arte
as David. There is another character who is uncredited, and it's Sam Kapu, which is interesting.
Do you want to tell us who Sam Kapu is? Sam Kapu is the man who sang with Don Ho.
We'll get to that in this episode, yes, but he sings with Don Ho, but he's not credited. So when we get to that part, I have some questions to ask Barry to see if he has any information to impart here, because I'm a little confused as to how we would have an actor who is not credited and who does have other credits. In fact, if you go on to IMDb, he is credited with being on the Brady Bunch. He's just not credited in the credits for the episode.
Sam Kapu. Good singer.
Yes,
good singer. Gotta admit, got to say that.
Interesting, though.
Here's something I noticed when this is during our fade in. I never had paid attention to this until I looked back at it again recently. And that is, you know how we have that Brady music that carries us from one mood to the other? Like when it's a happy mood, it's da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. And when it's a sad mood, it's wah, 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 wah,
Yep.
wah, wah.
Mm-hmm.
And well, in this one, they have added a whole new vibe to it with kind of a jazz organ. And
it is very cool. The music, well, there's a lot of montage-like pieces in this show. So the music carries a lot of the audio throughout the episode.
And another thing about this is this kicks off with something I look forward to every time Mike Brady comes through the front door. Nothing happens until, "Hi, honey, I'm home."
Why does he always come through the front door, by the way? It dawns on me that sometimes they have him parked in the back when he comes through then the kitchen. But, he does. He comes through so I guess he parked out front.
One time he came in through Alice's bedroom, but I don't know what that was about.
That was a new director.
Yeah.
He just didn't know the layout, quite
Wasn't
literally.
Jack Arnold.
All right, but this is our 4th season, which means these are new credits. These are our 4th season credits, which I believe are the last credits we did, right? I don't think we did a separate credit shot, tic-tac-toe boxes, if you will, in the 5th season. So in this one, we're looking like we do in the episodes.
Since we're podcasting, I can safely say, Chris, and you have not changed a bit.
Yeah. Well, Barry, you have. Your hair and my hair
Yes,
in these boxes looks a little windblown.
Yeah. I call this new hair color of mine sun-streaked.
This new color of yours.
Yes.
This is this non-color.
The absence of color, yes.
Right. I'm the same. So, yeah, well, you'll notice, though, in the credits that Bob Reed's hair does not look like it will throughout the rest
That is
of
crazy.
the 4th season and the 5th season.
is
But
crazy.
here in this episode, we see it happen.
We recognize him when he comes through the door. We recognize when he has that package and he's holding a package that he wants to share with the family. And then when we get to Hawaii, we don't recognize him anymore.
It happens almost immediately. So what the setup is, okay, so the plot. Mike comes home with a box.
Can't wait.
Looks like candies. Something with a bow on it, a present, and runs into Carol, who immediately goes to the box, ignores Mike and reaches for the box. So cliche. And then Peter walks in, incidentally, and Bob or Mike asks Peter to get the rest of the family because he's got something. I guess it's a gift for the entire family.
Who apparently are all waiting. All of the rest of the family are all waiting at the top of the stairs.
Dutifully doing their homework.
Yes.
I'm imagining.
They all race each other down the stairs.
So anyway, we set up the fact that this present, whatever it is for the entire family. And of course, everybody's so excited. And
everybody around. Now, this is the first time I noticed that the Brady boys, we don't know if they had ears anymore because
the hair.
The hair was, was fully grown out now, and it covered our ears like headphones. I mean, it was really funny.
Helmet hair was in vogue at the time.
In vogue.
But we took it to a new extreme. Like Florence had the flip, we had helmet hair.
Helmet hair, and by the way, Florence's flip was in full view. This episode.
Full iconic bloom at this point. And this scene, though, this opening scene, and I can't remember. I believe, and Barry, you straighten me out here if I'm wrong about this. All the scenes shot in the set, the Brady home, were done after we went to Hawaii. Because if I'm not mistaken,
I believe that's true. That's the first thing we did was go to Hawaii.
This is the first episode of the year that we shot in the 4th season. And the way that worked for us who were in school is they timed the production start date to be the first Monday after school got out. Now, the 5 of us who were still going to school at the time, Barry had already graduated. We were all in LA public school system, so our last date of school was the same for all of us. So luckily for production, it all lined up. We ended school on Friday and took off, if I remember correctly, on Sunday for Hawaii. I believe that's, it was like Saturday and
That part
Sunday.
I cannot help you with, but I can confirm that we filmed our scenes after we got back because I had gotten wind. It had been discussed with me, and I believe it was Lloyd Schwartz, who he might have been an associate producer at this point. He was associate producer, and also Schwartz's son had told me that the Hawaiian episodes were going to include surfing, and I was jumping out of my swimsuit. I was really excited, but it was explained to me I would not be doing my own surfing because it was simply too dangerous, and I had to use a surf double to do the actual surfing for me. And I was like crestfallen. So I put up a big defense and a big stink. And I said, look, you guys, I've been a surfer a lot longer than I've been a Brady. And then I started to exaggerate a little bit and said that I'd won contests and, I had been recognized and I could show them the trophies if they wanted. And I finally
I wish they would have called you on that.
I would have gone to the trophy store and had them made up. What? I wanted to surf. I mean, I knew I could handle it. So they finally said, okay, network approved it, I guess. And that's really where they were concerned because of lawsuits, I guess, and danger and things
No,
like
no, I
that.
think the production, the cost of production. All of a sudden, you go down and they can't finish production, and all of a sudden, we're like we're backed up 2 weeks because
I wasn't thinking
had a
about any of
concussion?
that.
Well,
but
of course not.
I convinced them, finally. I convinced them that I could handle the surfing episodes so quickly. I said, okay, great. So here's the thing. And I know you're concerned about the budget. I know you're concerned about the time. So in the interest of keeping ourselves on time and on budget and staying with the speed of production, you need to know that the waves in Hawaii are very different than the waves that I surf here in California. So it would be in your best interest to send me and my brothers to Hawaii a week before we start surfing so I can practice.
And they bought that.
They went for it. It was great.
And they put you up there.
They sent me there. They put me up there. They paid for my meals and food and all that stuff.
You got to spend an entire week without having to film anything there to just surf on their dime.
Do you love it?
When originally they didn't want you surfing in the show because, as I'm pointing out, because of the danger to the production if anything should happen to you. So now they're agreeing to allow you to surf 5 more days than the one day you would have shot the surfing.
You know, Chris, when you break it down, you make me sound even smarter.
Then it makes sense that I did hear a rumor that they had backup scripts.
Really?
For the end of the Greg character. Because they weren't going to stop production if something happened to you. So if you'd gotten hurt or drowned or something, they couldn't bring you back because you really did drown. They had that version, and then they had the version where you were, not seen in the rest of these episodes, but would come back later in the season when you were healed from whatever traumatic event befell you, and that we would just all carry on and finish this trilogy. Because we really
truth or dare time here.
Yeah, you only needed Peter and Bobby to carry on.
Truth or dare time here,
hijinks in this episode. No, I never heard that, but now that would have.
Secretly, you were hoping. Secretly, you were hoping for that.
They must have had a backup plan. If they so elected to have you test the Hawaiian gods who were depicting in these episodes to be very good at creating havoc, they exist there for real. And somehow,
those aren't the gods; those are the tikis.
And you survived it. We ended up with the script that they had intended first to shoot, not the one where it ends.
Fortunately,
Greg's life in Brady World.
Okay. So my Brady's in the living room. All the family's around us, and somebody's got to open this present. Please, anybody, now, open the present.
And he gives a hint. Remember what that hint was?
Yes.
It has something to do with water.
Water.
Perfect. It has. What does that have to do with a box? Like, there are goldfish in that. But did you notice in this scene how happy Bob was? I mean, the energy that Bob was giving to Mike, the character, was genuinely upbeat. I mean, he could act it, but he was beaming. And we just got back from Hawaii, which also means they took into account in this scene what had happened to his hair in Hawaii, because they had to start it not being curly. If you notice when he comes through that door in this particular scene, the opening scene, his hair is as it was.
That's interesting.
Straight for the preceding 3 seasons.
I see.
And then we go to Hawaii because when we went to Hawaii, they were intending to leave his hair straight. Little did they all know that his hair was really curly. And he couldn't keep it straight as soon as he landed. And we'll see that in the next scene where we fly over Diamond Head in a stock shot of a United Airlines 707, which wasn't the flight we were on. There wasn't like a jet outside the window filming us inside of a plane flying to Hawaii. Because I remember flying over on a 747, which was really a thrill because they were relatively new. Matter of fact, United had started flying them just 2 years earlier in 1970. And their first flight was actually San Francisco to Hawaii, the first time that United Airlines had used a 747. And back then they had stand-up bars in 747. Not that I was old enough to drink, but I thought that was kind of unique. And everybody kind of party around a piano or something.
And they poured good drinks too, let me tell you.
How long did it take him to realize that wasn't really safe?
As soon as a few fights broke out.
Because I remember on the return flight, everybody's standing up around this thing, and all of a sudden everybody's on the floor. We like hit a pocket and gained some altitude, and everybody's knees went out from under them, and everybody was on all fours on the ground.
Wow.
It's like, well, I kind of want to sit down now. Anyway, enough for that. So yeah, we show up in Hawaii and we get off the plane. We're deplaning with a number of familiar faces.
I love these things. We have a lot of nepotism in our show, and little cameo appearances and walk-ons and things like this. And the exit down the stairs of the plane was no exception.
So who do we see in this?
Well, we saw Sherwood Schwartz's lovely wife, Mildred, and that was fun. It tickled me to see her because she was such a sweet woman.
We see Lizzie Bernstein and Joey Bernstein.
Lizzie and Joey are Florence Henderson's two youngest kids, and they were...
No, that's Robert. So it would be her second and her fourth. Lizzie's the fourth. It was Joey, not Robert, in this particular deplaning.
Okay.
I don't know where Robert was, but might have been in another cut. But in this, and then Mildred. And Mildred looks, ravishing, young.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you think that they gave her a fee for the day, an extra fee?
Of course.
Okay, good.
Of course. I think that's
asking.
That's union stuff.
But if you'll notice,
maybe that's what come to think of, that might be why Sherwood put her in it, because he needed the money.
There, yeah.
I think that's,
okay.
that was about $117 a day then.
I did talk to Lloyd since we have recorded the Cincinnati Kid podcast that we did. And since then reviewing with him that episode, he said that the reason there were all these members from the crew in that show is because it got to save money. That's why the director. So I don't know. Maybe Mildred was saving.
I don't know about
production
that.
money.
No, I do not know about that.
I'm not going to start any rumors. Anyway, so the family gets off last. Getting ladies.
Maybe Lloyd didn't declare his income that year.
I'm sure they paid him. They didn't have to pay is for the travel for other actors. So they did get to escape that kind of payment. And in this, in this particular case, they could have just hired extras there, but they probably paid Mildred and Lizzie and Joey an atmosphere day rate. Any case.
I think, to be clear about what we're really doing in Hawaii, shades of the Cincinnati Kids, the Kings Island episode, this really functions as a bona fide travel log for Hawaii and Oahu, specifically.
And an effective one, as it would turn out.
And it was beautifully done, beautifully shot, and the writer, Tam Spiva, had created every opportunity to see all of the many of the wonderful sights and listen to the history, both of the Hawaiian culture, the island, its beauty, and of course Pearl Harbor and the USS Arizona, which we actually went to visit.
So to set the time frame, and this is 1972, so it's literally one decade into affordable air travel. Really kind of started in the early 60s. And you can there's a number of elements that are, you watch the show and you can see some early travel etiquette in play, like the dress. We're in suits and ties. We're in Sunday best.
People are dressed up, and that's
how they traveled back then. And why is that? Because people, I would imagine, that traveled prior to that were the upper crust. Mm-hmm. And
exactly right.
They dressed to travel. Now we got middle America traveling, or beginning to travel, and they start out emulating those from with more means, and over time we would surrender the dress for comfort.
To the point where today most of the terminals and the airline travel guests and flyers are treated like a bus stop.
There's some dress still, but not as much. Comfort is king.
There you go.
But we're not looking like that at the time, because at this time in 1972. Air travel has become, and this is the reason for the 747 and its invention. It's all of a sudden airports are having to grow because of all this traffic that was in play earlier off of the backs of that other four-jet plane, the 707 that you see in the air taking the Brady's over to Hawaii. Throughout the 60s, there's been this growth in travel, and there was only the largest planes, 747 and 707, that could get to Hawaii. Otherwise, you just crash into the ocean. So
without refueling.
Hawaii was actually experiencing tourist growth.
A boom. Mm-hmm.
That they hadn't had. So all of a sudden, in the 70s, with bigger planes, it becomes even more affordable to get to Hawaii. And the Bradys then are there. And as it would turn out, and we look back on it over the years, we were advertising Hawaii no longer as an exotic destination, but a very reachable, affordable destination that an entire family could afford.
If the Bradys can get there, we can get there.
Mind you, it's a lot more affordable when your dad's boss buys the tickets for the entire family. Now, did Mike get his name on the door or something? That's a
He got
nice
a
gift.
raise or a promotion or something there. Something was going on. And I didn't know he designed high rises. That's a different sort of skill than, like a custom home.
Well, he does mention throughout the years buildings, not just homes that that he's working on, like the Calderones. He's building a restaurant. And yeah, so I mean, this was definitely a building. So,
well, the Chamber of Commerce in Honolulu certainly took full advantage of this because it was promoting not just, the area and its beauty, but also, for instance, as you mentioned, United Airlines, the Sheraton Waikiki, where we did not stay, but Diamond Head, Pearl Harbor. And then even when Don Ho sang, they gave him a big fat plug that his show could be seen at the Polynesian Palace, which he was there for like 35 years.
And let's go into that in a little more detail when we get to that part of the plot, because there's another little point of reference here that has eluded me up until this point, and that is the car that drives up looks strikingly like the Brady station wagon. It's not, because they wouldn't have flown the Brady station wagon to Hawaii, and it also had a wood trim. This car didn't, but it looked like the same model.
It did
Pontiac.
look like,
yeah. But mind you, it had a big board on it, a sign on the door. No, on the doors.
Okay.
And it was of a construction company, the Kiplua Construction Company. And it wasn't a name of a taxi company. It was the name of a construction company. It dawns on me now that was probably a real construction company. And that is probably how we got the use of the construction site, is to give the construction company a plug through the car.
You ought to go into marketing.
Well, it's not marketing. I think at this point, it's like you're gonna, you're deducing how they picked the places they picked. Because why else would that have been there? They're selling these.
We went to Pearl Harbor. They didn't give us a destroyer to take home.
No, but they talked all about the history of Pearl Harbor and the Shark Queen goddess, which is something we can go into to some depth. But I just thought that it was just.
I took her out for a date while we were there.
She wasn't the Shark Queen until after she met you.
She was short, but she had a humpback like you could not believe. Kiss her.
Yeah, sure, Barry. Yeah, kiss her. What did you do with her teeth? All right.
I turned them forward.
You weren't the same when you got back. See, they were very close to needing those other episodes.
We all have a lot on our plates. Work, kids, relationships. And sometimes it can be hard to just catch a breath. When life is go, 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 it matters where you stay. Hilton's family of brands is team members dedicated to making you feel truly cared for, so you can mentally check out before you even check in. Take the break you deserve and book your next stay on Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
For the love of fall, Starbucks pumpkin spice lattes and pumpkin cream cold brews are back. Smooth espresso dashed with pumpkin pie spice and velvety whipped cream. Or cold brew topped with pumpkin cream cold foam fit for the season. Your pumpkin awaits. Order today in the Starbucks app.
All right, so we get to Hawaii. We all pile out of this car with the construction company's name on the door. There's 9 of us. 9! Because Alice is part of this family that Mike's boss is buying the tickets to Hawaii for. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay.
But 9 of us and luggage in one car. Try that today.
Well, that's where the slats of wood were on the top.
There were slats of wood, but it was a luggage rack up there.
A luggage rack, yeah.
Right.
But it wasn't just the rack. I mean, there were like long boards running the entire length of the roof of the car.
But if you'll notice now, we left the airport. We came down the ramp outside Mike's Hair Strait. We get into a bus, a transport bus to the airport. That's where we disappear into. By the time we're cutting to that scene, Bob's hair is sort of half curly. And now by the time we're at the hotel, the Sheraton Waikiki, his hair is in full bloom. Full bloom, curly style. That would then last the next 2 years. Yeah, it's in. I mean, it didn't take very long at all.
stayed that way for the next 2 years.
Any case, so and Alice has multiple lays on her, a little comic, kind of characterization there.
Only about
coming out of
15. That's just another thing, just as a quick, so we're talking about flying and how wonderful that was. And do you remember, they used to have Hawaiian girls in grass skirts give you a little kiss and a lei when you landed.
They still do.
Don't you have to pay extra for it?
I don't believe so. you have to pay extra for the kiss.
Okay. I guess maybe they do that. They don't. I don't know if they do that at all the islands then, but probably just Honolulu.
They know you're coming, Barry, so they make sure not to get anywhere near you.
You're anywhere near me. I don't blame them. I really don't.
All right. Well, why do I feel the Bradys and Hawaii is just a perfect fit? Watching this show, and when they start the tour, and they're at the blowhole, and you see the entire family there in the bold floral prints. It's just right. It's just an environment of casualness that reminds me of Brady, I guess.
I think our excitement about being there and about what we were looking at, it was new, it was beautiful, it was exciting. We were genuinely pleased to be there outside, and that, the warm water and going swimming. We were taking full advantage of the island while we were there.
It's just iconic, and it's just a real good fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I look at it and I realize, in retrospect, we were very good tour guides and very effective at selling the concept of Hawaii. We were the perfect family.
Now, here's something you might not know or might not remember. My father was a businessman, and he was part of a national group called the Associated Credit Bureaus of America. And every year they had a destination convention. And as fate or happenstance would have it, their convention that year was on Oahu during the time that we were filming there. They stayed at the Sheraton Waikiki, next door to where we were at the Royal Hawaiian. So the president of the Associated Credit Bureaus and my father, that was his business. He had 3 different office buildings in Southern California, and all of the association from across the country were having their convention coincidentally, while we were filming there.
Really? Was that before we got there, or after we left, or during that same week?
They came during the time that we were there.
I have a vague recollection of your dad being there, and now I probably knew at the time, but you're reminding me.
Mom and Dad.
Right, because you were already 18, weren't you?
About to turn 18.
So you did have to have a guardian, and your mom wasn't that guardian.
I had my brother. Well, when I could find him, when he was around.
Yeah, that's like
just to put in perspective. Like my other brother, the middle brother between the two of us, he came a little late before the crew, but he came a little late, and he'd missed his first plane, which wrecked our whole day of surfing. So we could go to the airport, and the reason he missed his plane was because the night before he went to the Rolling Stones concert at the Forum in Los Angeles, and had too much fun and didn't wake up. So I was
This was Scott?
Yes. And I was not pleased that we all showed up at the airport at like 1 o'clock, and he didn't arrive until 5.
So you caught a flight the next day?
Later that day. But it was...
there was not that many flights to Hawaii you were able to find.
It was killed, the day in the water.
Wow.
I'm just telling you.
I'm crying for
what
you,
I'm trying
Barry.
to explain
I'm
here.
crying for you.
What I'm trying to explain to you is that the chaperones that I had were not the most reliable.
Believe me, I'm chuckling over here, realizing how many things you got away with on this trip, on this episode. Yeah, because to paint a picture for those of you out there listening, we might have experienced the same islands, but from completely different perspectives, because I had a mom, and everybody else did as well, who watched over us like hawks, because that was their job. Though I was almost 14, I wasn't almost 18, and I didn't have the kind of chaperoning Barry did. So his experience of this island was quite a bit different than my own.
We did have our school teacher there, though.
Oh, yeah, like you had...
Frances Whitfield was there.
But, she remembered that you weren't yet 18, so she had some guidance that she had to apply to you.
Yeah, so Maureen
controlling you.
Maureen and I would just wait for her to go to bed, and then we'd go for walks on the beach.
Yeah, I think you remember that differently than maybe Maureen does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe
at one point,
I'm trying to pull this out of Barry right now.
I'm just saying I'm just saying this, that I don't know exactly how she recalls the events of the day, but at the time, shortly after, she told me later that I was her first kiss.
Wow.
And I went along with it and told her it was mine too. Then I taught her everything I knew.
All right, let's talk about the plot.
Okay.
I don't know where to take this.
What plot?
The one that we're playing.
Okay.
Greg's plot, not Barry's plot.
Okay.
So, anyway, we're doing a tour not only of Waikiki, but of Honolulu, which obviously includes Pearl Harbor. And now Pearl Harbor, it seemed at the time, had an event that occurred there, before I was alive. So I had no capacity to really put it into perspective. But now looking back on this, it was only 31 years since the bombing of Pearl Harbor and the beginning of the United States entry into World War II, which, to me at the time didn't measure much, So I'm looking at a memorial from years past.
Yeah, 30 years doesn't seem
could have been
like
the
so much.
Colosseum in Rome. I mean, it was before I was alive.
Yeah,
but now looking back on it, it was like 31 years is a long time, but it's not that long. I mean, we're right now sitting here 21 years after the World Trade Center.
Right. Right.
And, at times that seems like yesterday. There were people around us feeling a connection,
Right.
in a more real way than I could connect.
And this was a nice thing, too, about the exploration of the whole episode. But while we were there, they took time to explain sort of what happened when they first started building Pearl Harbor, that it's always been surrounded with superstition, and it was said to be overseen by shark queen gods, and that they had been warned about building or construction there. And this is all covered in the episode, but they talked about when it was built that they were warned to not build there because bad things would happen. And when they built their first dry dock as a harbor, it sank without sort of explanation. And they were very concerned, but determined to rebuild, and they were warned again.
But this time, after being warned, they did have it blessed. Had a Hawaiian priest come out and
Good Christian priest.
Do his magic. Hawaiian priest offered chants and prayers to the shark gods. And this time they rebuilt it, and it didn't collapse.
No.
But they did find, once they pumped the water out of the dry dock, a shark at the bottom of it.
They did?
Ooh, yeah.
Doo-doo-doo.
Mm-hmm. That's the real story of
was the shark
the
wearing
blessing
a tiki?
of Pearl Harbor. Huh?
Was the shark wearing a tiki?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
We will get to that. But we set this up because this is the entire sort of plot of this first episode. The idea of taboo or kapu, bad luck, that permeates the belief system of not just ancient Hawaiians, but even current islanders. And so one must take it very seriously. Matter of fact, today, even if you go to Hawaii, you don't pick up a rock or a shell. You just leave everything in place.
Yes.
And let alone an ancient archaeological relic,
Right.
that Bobby not only comes across but then defaces. Because if you'll notice, though it looks like a brand new thing out of a plastic wrapper, it's so white, laying in the dirt that they just uncovered. He's later wearing it on a lanyard. So what does that tell you?
Mm-hmm. He has no respect.
He somehow had a drill on him, and he drilled a hole through it. But he believes it's going to bring him good luck because he finds it and isn't, as we see in the scene that comes prior to him finding the idol, the discovery of the idol by two construction workers, that it's bad luck to deal with this idol. So they just throw it to the side, and then comes Bobby, thinking it's good luck. He wears it.
Thank goodness he thought it was good luck, or we would have had no show.
No, we wouldn't have. But did you? I mean, so this show is about, and we've all come to realize that this idol means bad luck. I know you're in business selling copies of the idol, and
Yes,
please tell the audience our copies of the
original,
idol.
Authentic, very similar tikis that are now good luck.
They're somehow blessed to be good luck.
Only
they're-
on eBay. That's Barry Williams Direct on eBay.
How do you know they're good luck?
and I'll sign it. Well, because I write good luck on it, and that blesses it, plus my name.
Okay. So everyone out there, you got that? Because
Mm-hmm.
Barry is an island priestess.
Mm-hmm. And also, while we're talking about it, they come in two styles. One is with a lovely lanyard length, and the other is with a shorter length, which is suitable for your Christmas tree or decoration.
A nice good luck ornament.
Yes, exactly.
I wonder how many people put that on their tree, and that was the year their tree caught fire.
I don't know.
We'll have to reach out to people and find out if that happened to anyone.
Mine literally lives on the tree all year long. Literally.
Where is your tree?
In my living room.
You leave it up in your living room?
Well, it is an artificial tree. I will give you that, and it does spin around. That's true. We decorate our tree. My wife Tina and I decorate our tree for every holiday. So we just got finished with St. Patrick's Day at this time of year, and now it is decorated for Easter with lots of Hawaiian leis on it, not real flowers, of course, but as a decoration. And then we have the Memorial Day, 4th of July, all that stuff.
Sounds fun.
But some things stay up there all year, and the tiki's one of them.
Gotcha. Well, maybe for you, like it was assumed by Bobby, that the tiki is good luck. Because if you'll notice, he doesn't recognize it as bad luck. He thinks it's good luck, even after he has his scene. Yeah. Well, he wears it, and then he crushes his ukulele after his scene with Don Ho and Sam Kapu. So I'm coming back to this Kapu. So Kapu is what later, I think in the next episode of this trilogy, uses as bad luck, as bad. Kapu is the same as taboo, and it means bad luck. And I thought that's really interesting that this character, his real name, his last name that he goes by is Kapu.
Had to be bad luck he didn't get a credit.
He didn't get a credit because his name was Kapu. Wow. How do you not get a credit? Now, let's talk about this. So he's in there, and they sing this beautiful song I could find no information on. Sweet Someone.
Sweet Someone.
And they do the whole
song.
thing.
I know. That's amazing. That is amazing.
Using this brain of mine, like I did with the sign on the door of the car, I'm assuming, that was a little long. They didn't need to do the whole song. Plus, this guy is in the scene with Don Ho that's not got a credit. I am rather certain that the song was they were contractually bound to doing the whole song. That was a condition on which he appeared.
Well, he's got to sell records.
And then he probably brought Sam with him that day and said, I'm going to do this scene with Sam.
Well, maybe.
And no one said, you can't. I sing with Sam if you want me to sing.
Well, the song's clearly a duet.
So there you go.
That sounds like it may be a Lloyd call, Chris.
I think that's going to be cleared up in the future.
Yeah. Now, did you know this? This is a little off track, but I never got to meet Don Ho, of whom I was a big fan, while we were there. Because
that was one of those nights after you were kissing Maureen.
But anyway, so I always missed that. Later in the 90s, the Bradys were invited to go back to Hawaii for a different type of show, travel show. And they said, well, if you could choose anything to do in Hawaii, what would it be? And I said, well, kind of without thinking, and I said, I would like to sing Tiny Bubbles with Don Ho, because I thought that was just so far out of the realm of possibility. And they said, okay. And that's what I did. But the neat thing was, he's at the Polynesian Palace, go in, he's all set up. I get up on stage with him. He introduces me. We sing the song. I go sit down. So I got to sing it with him once. But at the end of the show, he used to say, because his audience was, elderly, he would say, okay, we're coming to the end of the show. And so this next song is for those of you who weren't here or came in late or can't remember that I did it the first time. and he called me up again.
Did he? Really, a second time?
Yeah. And I was like 7 Mai Tais into the evening, and
see,
sang it best I could with him again. But it was such
that would be on YouTube.
A great experience
now.
And so much fun. Yeah, it was so much fun. He was such a great guy. Really, really pleasant. And then he went out and met everybody in the audience. Everybody. the entire audience got up, got in line, and went to meet Don, and he signed autographs and CDs, and
he had a cool vibe. He
experience.
just had that,
the coolest.
I don't know, that sultry. And I think I'm watching the show, and of course it's cute, and the scene with him and Sam singing to Bobby and Cindy seemed to me to have missed an opportunity. Not that it's an opportunity our show plows, the sexy sultry thing is not what the Bradys do, but it could have been funny if that was a scene with Alice. Those two singing that song, that romantic ballad to her. I could only imagine what Alice, swooning with her face and her smile would have done with that. It would have been iconic, but that's not the scene that they wrote. But in my head, I'm imagining that would have been a great pairing. Okay, so in this scene, Bobby's got this tiki on, and at the end of the scene, after he's listened to the song, which he imagines is because of Good Luck that he got to meet Don Ho and have Don Ho sing to him. He didn't realize it was contractual. He hops up and crushes his ukulele. The first evidence of this bad luck that we had heard earlier could befall anybody who dealt with this tiki.
Well, we are in our hotel room, I think, and we are kind of getting ready for bed.
And one of the scariest moments in television history then occurs.
It was. We're horsing around. Bobby's being Bobby, and I throw a pillow at him. It misses him, hits the wall where there's a metal.
It's a piece of wall decor. It's a metal
wall decor,
shield,
like,
something.
Yeah, shield, or possibly almost like a turtle's back, something like that. And it falls off the wall and almost hits him in the head.
Now, remember doing that scene?
Yeah, I do.
So you're imagining how
you were
it was
there
written.
Too,
Oh, yeah, I remember. Okay. And I know what was written because that's what we played. But watching the damn thing kind of just fall down the wall and then slide onto his pillow and then rock there really wasn't very frightening. Like it could have killed him. And that's how it was written. Yeah. Like this was really heavy, thing that could have crushed a bone. Mm-hmm. But they struggled mightily to make that thing fall off the wall and not just stick behind the bed. That's all they could get out of it in the time that they had, is that just sliding down the wall and then crushing the pillow slightly.
So far, this tiki has helped Bobby destroy his ukulele.
But now he thinks, though, it's Good Luck. Right. He got out of the way. So he thinks
that's true.
The idol is Good Luck.
But the ukulele and now this thing that fell off the wall, and this tiki's just getting started. Well,
this tiki at this point is realizing I'm against some heroic Brady's here. I'm going to have to, pump it up a bit because it starts getting more real.
It has its own little identifiable music interlude.
Do-do-do.
Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do.
Iconic.
It's a little like Jaws, Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba. When you hear that, get out of the water.
Right. It's the Brady comic version of a Jaws moment.
Okay,
yes,
something good is not going to happen.
All right, so next up, it's Bobby losing the idol, drops it on the floor outside of his room, and it's found by Alice.
Fortunately, the girls are coming out just after he drops it. That's what a coincidence.
Right, so she picks it up, puts it on, and they're off to a hula lesson. And of course, she hulas, and her who goes one way and her la goes the other.
A great line for her. She's stuck bent to the side in the middle of a hula move, and she says, say it again. What happened?
My who went one way and my la went the other.
Reminds me of another one when she had on, I think, a tutu, or she was going to take Cindy to a ballet lesson. She goes, yeah, well, I was going to wear one, but my tutu is a by 4/4.
Well, she has another earlier and a great line when she's putting on the grass skirt, and she apparently has Cindy's grass skirt. She puts it on and she turns around and she says, "There's no grass in the backyard." It's the grass hula skirt. No grass in the backyard. Yeah. I thought it was fun. Okay. Anyway, so now Alice has a moment of bad luck, although she apparently heals from this because we just cut from this scene to now the big event. Greg,
she gives Bobby the tiki back at that point.
Well,
too.
because she's back at the beach with Bobby
to
watch the surfing competition, which Greg
which I was
is
now ready for.
Has sort of horned in on
to it.
somehow. It's a surfing competition with 5 guys. I guess we call it the 5 guys surfing competition.
Yeah, but these are all Hawaiian surfers. I mean, they're like seriously the deal, and that was cool to get to be part of that. And you're right. It's not 30. It's not like 30 people, but we couldn't afford that many extras.
No, but hey, it's a little homespun home. Looks like a community event or something. But you look good out there. You look like really know how to surf.
It was that week of practice.
I mean, this is surfing is like boxing, isn't it? Like if you shouldn't do it if you really can't do it well.
Well, not there, because it's not just a rocky bottom; it's a coral bottom, and coral, of course, is very sharp, and it can be very dangerous, and the water can be shallow. So
I'm saying that if you say you can surf and you're out on a board and you can't, or you don't do it very well, you really look like you should have gotten a surfer for you, and
right.
you do that. That week helped, or
and so did the 6 years before that. Oh, actually, 10.
Yeah. Were you weren't you a skateboard champion? Yeah. You did some competition with skateboard.
Yeah, no, I was a skateboard, like a local regional kind of winner in my 12-year-old age group, but I'd been surfing by then since I was 8. Bobby'd put that tiki on me.
Yes, giving you good luck.
In his mind, in his little Bobby Brady mind.
So what was interesting, it was a great shot. I mean, that there's this reef out there that at times of low tide, summits, I mean, the water gets below the top of the reef, and so you see it. But you guys are surfing well beyond it, as I understand, and the telephoto lens that was picking you up gets it in the foreground, making it look like it was right there, that you fell onto it.
It actually was there were coral heads. There was a reef, but there were coral heads, and they were underwater when we started filming in the late morning. But as the day went on, the tide was receding, and as the tide receded, then the coral heads became exposed, and I was just not aware that was something that I might have to contend with.
Well, I'm a little amazed. I'm a little amazed that you would be out there with other surfers who surf that spot without them telling you about these heads, or with them surfing along with you with those heads in that place. And then remembering the story that I was told by Lloyd, but now I'm realizing that maybe Lloyd told me a sanitized version of the story.
It was not that different. It's really not that.
Well, he said that he said the telephoto lens. It was like you were 15, 20 yards beyond the coral head, but you didn't fall anywhere near it. The camera just
no, I did hit it. No, I definitely hit it. In fact, my father was there, as was my mother, and it looked exactly like what it looks like. And he and Robert Reed and a couple of the crew members, I think it was the camera assistant, they all started swimming out to me immediately. And they were swimming to come and get me to see. And they had to make sure that I was actually okay and all of that. And I assured them that, fortunately, I could reassure them that I was. And so then we continued. But it was a shakeup on the set.
So what would they have had in mind to be this moment if there wasn't any coral heads to contend with? What were they going to have you do? Just
they were going to have
off this.
Yeah. In fact, we did fake falls. I was in the script that I would fall, and we did some of those, but they looked horrible. You know how those in those old surfing movies. It
looked like that wall decor falling onto Bobby. It just
exactly
didn't have any.
It didn't work, and they wanted those for cover because originally the network, again, which is very protective of this is a different time, they felt that fall was too frightening and would scare viewers, and so they didn't want to use it because it looked too dangerous. Well,
then that might bring me to the next question I have, because I thought it was a rather interesting choice. We are only doing Hawaii Bound here, folks. This is the first episode of the 3-part Hawaiian trilogy, and this is where it ends. But you would think it would end with the empty surfboard laying in the water and no Greg.
Yes.
And then cut, and we're off. That's it. But it doesn't end there. There's another shot then of Greg looking like he's stunned and trying to swim with the head above water. Like you're not so worried. You see, firstly, he's not underwater. He's alive. There's no blood on him. and he's swimming poorly, but not so that he's like threatening to drown. And then we cut back to the surfboard and then out. And I'm thinking, I wonder if that was imposed upon Sherwood and the show because they thought leaving the episode, I mean, we're a show for kids, right? We're 8-year-olds and 12-year-olds. If they had to wait another week to find out if Greg died.
Being the method actor that I am, what I did is I came up to the surface there for a little bit, but then I went back down underwater and held my breath for a week until episode 2, the second part.
And what did you tell Maureen that night?
I'm swimming with the fishes, darling. I'm swimming with the fishes.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if she bought it as much as I just bought that. All right. So is there a moral to our story, or do we need one since it's a 3-parter and this is the end of an episode?
Take your family to Hawaii. You will have a great time.
I think the moral of the story is you don't believe a damn thing Barry says. But Barry can surf. And we are the real Brady Bros.
We all have a lot on our plates. Work, kids, relationships. And sometimes it can be hard to just catch a breath. When life is go, 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 it matters where you stay. Hilton's family of brands has team members dedicated to making you feel truly cared for, so you can mentally check out before you even check in. Take the break you deserve and book your next stay on Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
From 3 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, Buffalo Wild Wings Happy Hour has beer, cocktails, and bar food for $3 to $6. It's the perfect way to offset a long day. Text that hilarious joke about your boss to your boss. What? No. Try a $4 Coors Light Tall. Set your morning alarm for 6 p.m. That calls for $5 strawberry margaritas. So if you ask your phone why you're still single and... Seriously? Head to Buffalo Wild Wings Happy Hour from 3 to 6. At participating locations, taxes and fees apply. Dine in only. Drink responsibly. Offers vary by location. Void where prohibited.